Time for another one, I reckon. And it seems like um, the the regular slot for these tends to be just after breakfast. um, it's kind of I'm fueled up, maybe a little bit of coffee to get me going. Um, Morning light and coming through that window of mine, and a kind of the quiet period on that road outside after everybody has kind of gone to work. So it's a sort of it's a particular zone um, that kind of is a comfortable spot to lay out my mat. um, and I guess here we go. This is, I didn't think I had anything to say as usual, and of course, here it comes. Um, you know, what it takes to bring stuff into being. Um, is well, why would that be of interest to anyone? I don't know. Because stuff just happens anyway, doesn't it? And should we be in the position of knowing what it takes to generate things, would that benefit us? Would we want to know how to generate stuff? We what am I trying to say? What I'm trying to say is, um, this is coming naturally. I feel like I want to do it. It's an appropriate space that needs filling, and I've got some filler. So out it comes. But once the formula is known, and this really is the point, and I was talking about this previously, but it didn't quite come out. And it's about the I don't know, what would you call it, a formulaic approach to to living, where you know what it takes um, to generate a particular outcome, um, because you've seen it done, and you simply replicate the 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 formula, and you have a similar effect. And in this way, people, I guess people with heroes, they look at the behavior of their heroes and they try and reproduce the behavior of their heroes. And, you know, what comes out is a kind of a replication of the exterior appearance of the thing. And it's like, this is the idea that I was talking about previously. It's the idea rather than, it's the thinking rather than the feeling. It's the appearance of the thing rather than the thing itself. The thing itself is the response, and the responsive behavior, which is authentic and immediate and local and particular, and it's unique to that time and that place and that set of circumstances. And the replication that we see all the time, I mean, poor news presenters who are taught the behaviors of the hand and of the intonation and whatever else it is that's been researched and identified as being likable and powerful and meaningful, and they're taught to reproduce those things. It's kind of soulless. Not that they're soulless, but that sort of process behavior, which I'm sure that they can't stand any more than anyone else. And I love the news. I'm kind of I spend my time just as much as anyone else watching it, and enjoy the personalities. But the personalities are what's happening behind the hand gestures and all the rest of it. And you can sort of tell who's authentic and who's still, who's still playing by the book. God, this is a pretty rambling old thing, this one. And what's it about? It's about authenticity, and rambling is my authentic response to today. And I read the little essay that Neil Ferguson posted on his Twitter about Brexit and the like. The fact that I hear Hillary Clinton tell me on the television that there are 48 days left before America has a new president. Well, it's virtually here already, isn't it? That moment in history. And this little essay that I read was, it was about disenfranchisement and the consequence in social turmoil. Basically, what were the sources of revolution, the sources of social change. It's social change just goes on and on and on. There are grumpy people who used to have something, who used to know something, who used to be something. There are new people giving it a go without really any awareness, I think, of responsibility, because there should be no responsibility, in my view. The path that you're carving out is not, you're not carrying the burden of the disenfranchised. You do not have a responsibility to the disenfranchised to ensure that fairness is done to them, because they've lost. And it wasn't your fight. You've just come onto the onto the dead battlefield and picked up the bits that you found there, and you're getting on with your own life. There's no responsibility there to uphold anything, just living a life. And there's a sort of there's a blindness certainly in that. There's a kind of blindness, but what would I do without all these pause words, eh? Filling up the space, giving me a bit of thinking time. But I'm not really thinking, just pushing through, really. I'm on this battlefield of bits. And, I'm finding the odd little useful thing, bits and bobs, little phrases or items, and trying to make something useful. For whom? I don't know. For what purpose? For my own satisfaction, nothing more. Because that's where we are, isn't it? We're ploughing through blindly, feeling our way through, pushing through the fog, because, it's a fog, pushing through the fog. And that's this to me. You see, this doesn't make any sense to most of you, but this is the most meaningful thing I've had to offer for a while. A sort of description, really, of what's going on. And here's a little bit of stuff that you'll understand. The 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 holiday that I'm on, this little holiday thing, I haven't actually achieved anything concrete. I've been doing lots of little tiny little jobs, going where my whim takes me, and the kind of things I've been cleaning this window or that window, or wiping the dust off that radiator, or painting this ceiling, because I painted the bathroom ceiling upstairs actually, and cleaning this surface and that. So a lot of cleaning, a lot of cleaning, but doing it in a way, it's like a little game I play for my own satisfaction. I sort of, and I do this throughout life really, play the game of doing things that make life better in a way in which nobody else will notice that it's happened. And I do this all the time. The satisfying things I find myself doing are doing something good secretly, doing something that improves life fundamentally without anyone else noticing that it's happened. And I ask myself why I do that. Why do I need to keep it a secret? Why do I want other people not to notice that it's happened? And the answer is this, and it's to do with a vulnerability. The answer is that there are specific, tangible things which, if changed, can improve life or the experience of life for me, because I can only talk about things from my own experience. So I clean a window, it makes life better for me. But there's a vulnerability, because if I identify with a clean window, then me and the clean window together become a thing which can be violated. And the what happens is if you've made if you've made it known that you have cleaned a window, and you're proud of the fact that you've cleaned the window, and you like the window, and you stand by your window, and it's reflecting off you as part of how you present yourself, then as sure as eggs is eggs, somebody is going to scratch that window, they're going to smear filthy fingers all over it or whatever, as an act of spite. And that becomes hurtful, and then the whole scenario becomes one of a discourse of one in which you have said, look at me, how fine I appear to be, and another voice says, you are vulnerable, and you can be taken down. And that discourse then, the outcome of a discourse like that is one which formulates behavior, because the defensive nature of people is, I wish to have a self-identity that is inviolable. I do not wish to present myself in a way in which other people can undermine me. And, fundamentally, you present yourself as a body. And anyone could come up to you with a machete and lop off one of your limbs just like that. It wouldn't take 2 seconds. So you know very well you're not inviolable. So you need to inhabit this structure which supports you, which is the law, which makes it less likely that these events will happen to you. So the role of the law is in supporting the inviolability of your presentation of yourself, and your belief in yourself. This is good actually. The looser I've not been concerned about the appearance of this little number, this rambling weirdness, because you've got to kind of shake off the standard expectations in order to go a little deeper. And my private normal thought is much looser and weirder than any presentation I give of the appearance of my thought, which is just like that window that I've been describing. I've kind of I in some way I'm careful about what I let out, because the true process is much less much less clear. That actually didn't connect. That doesn't connect in any way. But I don't care. I'm going to just carry on anyway. So wherever I've got to, it's about the presentation, the personal the desire, the personal vulnerability, the desire for inviolability, which we know is it's almost an impossibility. We are vulnerable always, and so the sense of inviolability is a lie that we tell ourselves. We are vulnerable, and the balance between having a personal sense of inviolability and subscribing to a collective behavior, such as involvement in a social group which protects certain expectations of yours, that is a balance that that we play. That's the game, one of the games that we play. Um, so the protection of the sense of inviolability. Which is a sort of, I think, the reason why, getting back to this concern about the shocking Brexit vote, which I think was not expected, and which presages, if that's a word at all, the potential for dramatic events in America in what must be 47 or 46 days' time now. That possibility is very real. That is the person of the social group abandoning I'm not sure about this really, abandoning its inviolability in a sort of throwing up of the hands that says, hell, I'm sick of maintaining this pretense because it's not real. This is the newscaster saying, oh, stuff it, I'm going to behave naturally. And, the response from outside is one of relief because, we all can't stand the fakery, and we like the authentic behavior. We like that freedom in which we discover ourselves, that those things we were trying to preserve, which we thought represented our inviolability, those things are not so important, and that we can survive without them. And those refreshing times in your life when you're forced to let go of something you thought was really important to you, and in a mode of decluttering, you've let stuff go that you really felt that you wanted to keep, and discovered that you survived anyway, is sort of refreshing. The fear that makes you hold on to particular, I do stuff like, I'm not going to share with you what I do because it's bonkers. Some of the things I do for my own amusement, with my own things, I sort of destroy my own stuff in a kind of just to amuse myself, in a way. Can't see how that's going to help you, but that's what people do. I think if they're honest, then even if they don't do it personally, then they set up circumstances in which their things are destroyed in order to put themselves into a situation. And there's the postman. I wonder if he walks across my grass like he did previously and wave at me through my fucking window. Sorry, did I say that out loud? Yeah, no, he hasn't. Good chap. Anyway, this sort of disturbed me. Reminded me of my annoyance of my personally being violated in my pajamas, not, Yes, so there we go. So this is more like me. This is the real stuff that you get with Gaza Green. Just a rambling mess of nonsense. I know what I'm talking about. I know where I'm going. I don't think it helps anybody. I don't expect anybody to actually still be listening to this by now. So there we go. I'm going to leave it at that. And maybe next time I'll have some answers for you to. Was there even a question in there? Don't know. Anyway, uh, bye.